Hello, welcome to Brunel University London webinar and welcome to Brunel Law School. My name is Alison Slade and I am the Director of Postgraduate Talk Programmes at Brunel Law School, and this webinar is going to specifically have a look at our LLM programme here at the Law School. Now, the structure of the presentation today is I'm going to give you a brief introduction to Brunel University London. We'll have a very quick tour of the campus and have a look at the environment within which you could potentially come and study, because obviously it's not just about the courses that you'll study, but it is about where you will study. So then we will move on and have a look at the law school, discuss the law school itself, and then we will get into the details of the actual LLM postgraduate programs that we offer here at Brunel. Now, what we have decided actually today is that rather than wait for all questions to come in at the end, if you would like to pose a question during my presentation, please feel free to do so, and if it obviously fits into the topic that we're covering at that particular time, I will address it as we go along through the presentation. If not, we will come to those questions at the end. Okay, so let's start now with the presentation. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Brunel University London. We are a world-class institution based in North London, in Uxbridge in North London. We were established in 1966 and are currently celebrating our 50th anniversary. And our mission here at the university is to combine academic rigour in studies and as well as a practical, entrepreneurial and imaginative approach pioneered, if you like, by our namesake, Isambard Kingdom Brunel. Now, we are as I said, a world-ranking institution, and we have received many awards and prizes over the years. The most recent award in 2011, perhaps the most recent, probably significant award, is that of the Queen's Anniversary Prize back in 2011, where our research institute was awarded the Queen's Prize for Excellence in Research that led to significant global impact. Now, we are ranked highly in the Times Education ranking of higher education institutions. We are currently ranked 35th in the world for institutions under 50 years old, and 6th out of 20 of such institutions within the UK. So as you can see, you'll be coming to a university that is both well established in its research and its academic teachings, but also is looking to progress and very progressive institution going forward. Now, having looked at the institution, I'm going to give you a little bit of discussion about life here at Brunel University. As I said, when you are thinking about which institution to come, it's not just about the programs with which you'll be studying, it's all about the environment within which you will be doing that studying. Now, we are a campus-based university, and we are a very modern campus. As I said, we are established 50 years old. In recent years, the university has invested over £400 million into campus redevelopment, and now possesses a very, very impressive range of modern state-of-the-art facilities. As you can see from the few photographs that I've included on this slide, there are very extensive sporting facilities. We have everything you would probably need on campus, so we have grocery stores, banking facilities, etc. And we also have very active social events. We have a very impressive arts program and music program, as well as if sport and music is not your thing, we also have very active sort of politics and debating societies as well. So there's plenty to offer at Brunel University London. Now, if you come as a postgraduate student, you will be joining approximately 4,000 other postgraduate students, which is the sort of average number that we have enrolled each academic year. Now, I've just given you sort of a very broad breakdown of the makeup of the students here. So as you will see from the pie charts here, 75% of our students, postgraduate students, study here on a full-time basis, but we also obviously have a significant number, 25%, a quarter of those are total intake, studying on a part-time basis. So essentially often combining study with work. Now, where our students come from, we have 41% of our postgraduate students are from the UK, 9% are from within the European Union, and 50% would fall into what we class as our international category, so from various regions and countries throughout the world. Now I'm going to move on and talk to you a little bit about the law school itself before we get into looking at the actual programs. Now I've got a picture here of our lovely law school building, which is the Elliott Jack building on campus. It is a modern building which actually has some great facilities here, for not only for staff but also for our students. So within the law school itself, we have what we call our atrium study, which I haven't included a picture of. But this is a very nice sort of open study lounge area where students come to access the computer banks that we have here, but also to sit and socialize. So we have access to sort of coffee, tea making facilities, and also obviously a lounge area where you can sit and chat with friends, discuss work, etc. Now, just to sort of go through the list of points that I've highlighted on this slide, when you come to study at Brunel Law School, you can be secure in the knowledge that those that are teaching you the subjects, especially at the postgraduate level, are masters of their topic. They are teaching the topics the modules that you will be signed up for, because they have research experience in those particular areas. More so than any other area of study, I would say our postgraduate program is what we can truly describe as research-led. So the topics that you will study are those topics that the lecturers are actually currently researching in at that particular moment. Now, we are ranked following the Research Excellence Framework report published in 2014, which is a national study conducted which every university in the UK partakes in. Brunel University, or Brunel Law School, was ranked 14th in the UK in relation to research intensity. So essentially the number of researchers at the institution engaged in high-level research in the particular field. So the law school is ranked 14th within the UK. Now, when you come to study at Brunel Law School, we truly encourage our postgraduate students to get actively involved in law school life. We have various research centres within the law school that will put on workshops, seminars and conferences in various particular fields, so human rights, intellectual property, corporate governance, etc., arbitration. We strongly encourage students to get involved, especially postgraduate students. This is your opportunity to really engage with a particular field and to immerse yourself in that particular area. Now, on campus we have a very well-stocked law library with most of the materials that you would need in hard copy. And also our library provides access to a wide range of online resources. And I've given you a list here of some of the e-journals within which we are registered to provide access to for our students. Here on these websites you will find access to the relevant case law that you need. You'll find access to statutes, not just UK, EU, but also statutes internationally across the world, the same with the case law, and also academic journals. So academic journals that are published both within Europe, the US and worldwide. Now, when you join Brunel Law School as a postgraduate student, one of your most important tools is that of Blackboard Learn, which is our online virtual learning environment and course management system. So here on this site you will have access to all the module materials that you will require. You will also have access to assessments that are conducted online. You will post your assessments online, and often you will receive feedback online through the Blackboard Learn network. And also when you join Brunel Law School, you will not only have interaction with your lecturers and teachers, but you also have a dedicated personal tutor that will provide, obviously answer any questions that you may have, provide information in relation to other areas of your study, perhaps what we call as the pastoral aspect of your time here at Brunel. So if you have any concerns, any questions, they would be your key point of call. Now, every lecturer that you will encounter on your course offers at least 2 hours of what we call open office hours or surgery hours a week, where you can just drop by anytime in that stated time and have a chat with your particular tutor. So if there's an area that you need greater clarification on, that is a perfect opportunity to do so. Obviously, outside of these times, you can arrange via email appointments with your various lecturers. And again, to support you, there will be various student representatives elected from the student body, which provide a good point of reference. So if you have any particular concerns, these student representatives come to the various law school board meetings and put forward the student's point of view in relation to the facilities, the modules, etc. So that's just a sort of a brief overview of what you will have available to you when and should you come to Brunel Law School. So, the final point I wanted to say actually was we've looked at the key, if you like, law-related areas, but what about the extracurricular activities? So we've looked at what might be available on the campus, so sports, music, art. But within the law school, we have various other extra activities that are available to both our undergraduate student cohort and our postgraduate student cohort. And we, again, encourage our postgraduates to become actively involved, obviously for your own development, but when you become involved with the undergraduates as well, they actually learn from you, and it provides for a more interactive community. So one of the key areas that we have is mooting. Now, we conduct mooting in various areas of the law. My area is intellectual property. That is the area that I teach in and research in, and every year we have a team which participates in the Oxford International Intellectual Property Law Moot. We also participate in arbitration moots, in criminal law moots, etc. And we also have internal mooting competitions. We also have internal debating, advocacy and interviewing skills sessions that are run by various members of the faculty. Fraud examination is something that has recently been introduced onto our extracurricular activity. And on a more sort of light noted theme, we also have reading groups and a film society which link into the law, but the books that you read and the films that you watch would perhaps look at various aspects. Often human rights is a very popular topic for both of those, subject matter of both of those groups. We also encourage our students to get involved in pro bono or free legal service provision to the community, often which we do either through the Law Society on a student-led basis, or we have a faculty-run law clinic where you as students can get involved with the community in offering legal advice on a variety of different areas. And finally, we have our very active Student Law Society, which often facilitates much of what we've just covered here, and again, something that we encourage our postgraduate students to get involved in. Okay, so now we're going to have a look at postgraduate study at Brunel Law School. Now, we take postgraduate students, broadly speaking, on two different types of degrees. A research degree, Mostly students will come in as PhD or doctoral students, and we have our taught degrees, which includes the LLM. We also offer a postgraduate certificate in intellectual property law and also a graduate diploma in law. But those last two are not the focus of this presentation today. It's going to be the LLM. Now, as you can see from the pie chart, the majority of our students, on average about 170 postgraduate students, the majority of those come in on the taught program. So again, you're part of a large active postgraduate community. Now, these are the programs themselves. So these are the various LLM programs that we offer here at Brunel Law School. And I'm going to very briefly give you a very broad overview of each of those various areas. Now, my area, as I said, is international intellectual property law, and I could quite happily answer any questions you like on intellectual property law. However, financial regulation and corporate governance is not my main area, and if you have any specific questions, my advice would be to look up the email address connected on the website in relation to these specific courses, and send an email to the various program director if you have specific subject matter related questions. Okay, so let's start by looking at our general LLM Masters of Laws. Now, this is our broadest program that we offer, and if you sign up to the general program of laws, you will have access to any of the modules that we offer on the program. Now, currently it varies year on year, but we offer between 36 to 40 different subject matter areas that could be studied under our Masters of Laws program. So that it allows you to create a bespoke degree for yourself, depending on either your area of interest that you have a particular interest in, or perhaps if you're not quite sure which area of the law you would like to study, or which area of the law you would like to have a degree in, the Master of Laws is the one for you, because it allows you a truly diverse range of courses to choose from. Now, our International Commercial Law program is again actually very broad program, given that commercial law is a very broadly defined area of the law. So within the commercial law program, generally speaking, the focus is on the governance of transactions between businesses and I say and of businesses, because our commercial law program also looks at element of company or corporate law, i.e. law that governs corporations. Now, within this international commercial law program, the title clearly states it has an international focus. So you will look at regulation within this area, both at the international level. It also provides to some extent a comparative analysis between the various laws and various jurisdictions. And that being said, however, we also look at national laws and national application of the various areas within various areas of law within the UK. Now, to give you an example of the courses that are available on this program, obviously as an intellectual property lawyer, commercial intellectual property falls squarely within the sort of commercial law remit. So intellectual property could be studied under part of this degree. World Trade Organization law is available, law of the internet, competition law, financial regulation, privacy and data protection. So it covers a broad range of subjects. And again, I would suggest you probably have approximately 20 modules to choose from on this program. Again, allowing you, because of the broad nature of the offering under the commercial law banner, allows you again to tailor your degree to suit your own interests or required career paths. Our next LLM program that we offer is that of international financial regulation and corporate law. Now this is a little more narrow in its focus. Here you're looking at, when we talk about corporate law, as I've said, we talk about the governance of corporations. And under the financial regulation banner, you will be looking at areas such as banking law, international instruments that govern this particular area of the law, and again, as well as national regulation of this hugely, especially when you're talking about financial regulation, hugely complex area of the law. And again, a comparative element will be introduced depending on what modules you select within that program. We then move to our other very popular program, and that is of international human rights. Now, this is a program that looks at human rights from a very broad perspective, from both a theoretical perspective and from a practical application perspective, both at the international level and at the national level. It is, as I said, very broad in its offering, and again, you will probably have about 10 to 12 modules within which to select 10 to 12 courses from which to select your various options. So whether you want to focus on international, so human rights at the more international level, or whether you would like to focus on specific regions such as the European Union or African and Asian human rights regulation and application, that is all available under that banner. And finally, the program that I'm very actively involved in, and that is the LLM in International Intellectual Property Law. Now, this is a very dynamic area of the law. It is an area of the law that's having to change on a regular basis to deal with changes in technology, and not only in technology development in relation to sort of patenting of new inventions, but also changes in technology which allows for easier dissemination of protected materials such as films and music, etc. So this is a very dynamic area of the law, as I've just said, and it covers again what changes in the law are made at the international level to deal with this constant evolution, and again at the national level, how this is dealt with. Now, finally, I've just included on the slide these other two postgraduate programs that we offer. Our graduate diploma in law, or common practice examination as it's also called, is a degree, a postgraduate degree that's targeted for home students, so home or EU students, UK or EU students that whilst have an interest in the law, their first degree is not in law. So by taking this program, you then participate in a qualifying law degree that allows you to go on and enter into the vocational courses, the legal practice course, etc., that exist in the UK, that allows you to go on to be a practicing lawyer. And finally, we have our postgraduate certificate in intellectual property law. This is a certificate that's geared, again, well, actually it is geared to UK, EU and international law students, but perhaps has greatest relevance for those within the UK and the European Union, because it is targeted at those that are currently within training programs in law firms to become trainee patent attorneys, or for those that are working within business or within practice where the focus is on matters in relation to intellectual property. So that is the focus of that course, and these are slightly separate programs that do not fit in quite nicely with the LLM program, so it's not something that I will be talking about during this presentation. Now I'm just going to give you a sort of broad outline of how the programs operate. So we've talked about the content of the programs, but I'm now going to tell you how you go about facilitating getting the degree at the end of once you've joined. So we work on a credit-based system. So to be awarded a LLM, you have to achieve 180 credits in relation to the various modules that you study. And on your first teaching term, on your first term, you are required to take 4 15 credit modules. Every module that we offer on the LLM program is a 15 credit module. So your first teaching term, you take 4 modules. Your second teaching term, you again take 4 15-credit modules, and the final 60 credits are made up by a compulsory dissertation. And we'll have a look at the dissertation in a little bit more detail in a moment. Now, to give you an example of how the various programs work under our LLM structure. Now, if you join up to our general Masters in Law, you have, as I said, you can choose from any of our modules. So you would pick 4 from any of the modules running in term 1, another 4 from any of the modules running in term 2 to get your 120 credits of taught module credits. Now, if however you enter under one of our specific, more specialized programs, such as the LLM in International Human Rights, each of those modules have certain core modules that you have to take. They are compulsory. So just to give you an example, as I said, here we have the International Human Rights Program. So in term 1, there are 30 core credit modules. So you have 2 modules of 15 credits that you must take. In term 1, it's the European System of Human Rights Protection and the Foundations of International Human Rights Law. Now that then leaves you 30 credits from which you can choose from any of the 5 modules on offer here. So International Human Rights and Islamic Law, Public International Law, International Humanitarian Law, Human Rights of Women, and International Criminal Law. And in term 2, the compulsory modules are Theory and Practice of International Human Rights and Regional Systems of Human Rights Protections in Americas, Africa, and Asia. And then the optional modules from which you would choose 2 are International Environmental Law, Corporate Governance and Corporate Social Responsibility, World Trade Organization and Human Rights Law, Multiculturalism and Human Rights, and Counterterrorism and Human Rights. And then to obtain your final 60 credits, you will have, there is no teaching in term 3. That is the final term where you will spend time completing your dissertation. Now let's have a little short look at the dissertation. Now this is a perfect opportunity, as the statement here says, taken from our handbook. It's a perfect opportunity to those, for students to actually select an area of the law which they have a deep interest in, and to write a significant and original piece of work that actually can contribute to the law and the development of the law in a particular area. So it's your opportunity to become engaged with a particular topic. Now, when you enter the program, you might have a good idea of what it is that you want to study. And what it is that you want to do specific research in and answer a specific research question. But generally speaking, the majority of students join the program, they do not have a good idea of what they would like to write a dissertation on. What we ask is, after a few months in, you will be required to select sort of 4 broadly defined questions that you could potentially explore. You will then have the opportunity to discuss those questions with a particular tutor to refine it and narrow it down, so that when you start the main body of your research, you are going into it knowing in detail the question that you want to explore. And this allows you to focus your research and focus your writing in order to answer that research question you are posing. Now, the dissertation is 15,000 words maximum, and most students write between sort of 13 and 15,000 words in this area. But as I said, it's something that allows you to explore a specific area of the law. It also usually feeds into the various modules that you have chosen to study, and in that sense, it helps you understand and helps you in the assessments for those modules when the time comes. Now, we have, when you join the program, we have 2 actual entry points on our LLM program. We have a September entry and a January entry. Now, our January entry was introduced 2 years ago to take into account that a high percentage of our students come from the Southern Hemisphere. And in the Southern Hemisphere, the academic year finishes November, December time, and they would have to then wait until the following September to enter into postgraduate study. So this is why the January entry was brought about, and it's proved to be highly successful. Now, if you are coming in as a full-time student, September entry gives you 12 months of program study. So you will start in September and you will end in the following September. If you enter in January, you actually have a slightly longer period of study. It is a 15-month program of study. So you will join in January and you will submit your final dissertation in March of the following year. So a 15-month program. And that program of study is reflected in the part-time program. So September entry, it is a 2-year program of study, and the January entry is 27 months. So 2 years plus the little extra time to submit and complete your dissertation in the following March. Now, just a little bit about teaching and assessment, and I'm sure this is probably an area that you'll have some questions on in a moment. But teaching within the law school, common practice, now I say common practice because there are obviously always exceptions to the rule. Common practice is 16 hours of teaching per 15 credit module. Now, that can be a purely lectures, it can be purely seminars or workshops. Often it can be a combination of lectures, seminars, workshops, and student presentations. Now, very much how the teaching time is allocated amongst these various forms of delivery is very much left to the module convener concerned. A lot will depend on the number of students involved. If it is a very large class, it's much harder to have a system where students present on a regular basis. But if you are signed up to a module where there is smaller teaching class, sort of 8 to 10 students working in a particular area, workshops and student presentations provide a much better way of really deeply engaging with the material. Now, our assessment methods, again, we utilize a variety of assessment methods, the most common of which are coursework. Now, coursework, I would say that the majority of our modules are assessed by way of coursework. So at the end of the module, you will be required to submit usually a 3,500 word essay on a particular question that has been set by the module convener. Some modules are, however, still examined by way of examination, and again we have 2 examination periods, one in January for those modules that are taken in the autumn term, so from September to December, and then we have our other assessment examination period, which is in April-May time, to cover those modules that are taught from January to March, and those are the examination periods. Now, finally, that's everything I really wanted to say about the program sort of as an outline. One thing I would like to stress is that at Brunel, it is all about making sure that our students learn, develop as lawyers, and obviously above all enjoy their time here, so that what they take away is both knowledge and skill, but also memories that they had of their time at Brunel. Now, I've given you a link to our testimonial page that you can go and have a look at see what some of our students have to say about us. But our students go on to study, to have careers in a variety of areas. Many go on to study within legal practice, both within private firms or as part of an in-house legal team. We also have students that go on, obviously take their knowledge of the law, take the analytical skills that they've learned at Brunel, and go on and apply those skills within business, management, within government in sort of policy formation, banking and finance. We've had some students that have gone on to work for various international NGOs, Some have even gone on to take further research degrees, i.e. a PhD, and have gone on to become academics at other universities. In fact, I went to a conference last week and met up with one of our students who is now an academic in India. So we have a variety of students that go on and utilize their skills in a variety of different ways. But as I said, as our headline says, it's all about the students and the success you make of the time you're at Brunel, and obviously the success you make of your skills that you acquire at Brunel. Thank you for listening. That is the end of my presentation about the course. If you have any questions, now will be the perfect time. Okay, our first question is, how many credits are studied each term for part-time students? Now, it's each term you would take, it's essentially half. So full-time students take 4 modules each term, term 1 and term 2, whereas part-time students take 2 modules each term. And again, so it's a 2-year degree, so you do sort of half the study time. The dissertation, obviously you have, when it comes to part-time students, you have a longer time to work on your dissertation. So you will usually finalize your dissertation question within the first 6 months of joining Brunel, and then you have a further 18 months to sort of write that dissertation. Most of our part-time students, we appreciate, have other commitments. That's why they have a longer time with the dissertation. Now we have another question. Is it possible for international students to be employed at private firms in the UK after completing their LLM? Well, I think that is very much a UK immigration and question. It depends on your ability to get a visa to remain and to work in the UK if you are an international student. Many of our students do, often because they have family or connections within the UK that allows them to do so. I am not an expert at all on the visa requirements, and actually I was talking to my colleague here who's in the room who used to work at our international student department, and she was just commenting how much the law changes in this particular area seemingly every day. So my advice to you, if you wish to pursue this question further, would actually be to speak to our international team or our admissions team, and they might be able to answer that question better for you. The following question is, what if I want to change my course after starting? Now, you can change within the LLM program, you can change programs at any time on joining. So for instance, if you start on the General Masters of Law and then you decide, well, actually the modules that I'm choosing seem to all to be very much have a commercial focus, and those are the modules that fall within the syllabus of the LLM and commercial law, you can just change to that program at any time. Now, our admin team will probably tell you there is a cut-off point, so I should imagine at the end of the final examination period, because obviously that will be the point where the degrees will be finalized and what type of LLM degree you will be getting would need to be finalized. So at the end of your examination period, I should imagine will be definitely the cut-off point at changing. But there is, so if you start on one commercial law program, for instance, and you decide, well, actually, I like the criminal law offering here, you could actually then have a look at international. You could combine and move to the Masters of Law program, thereby combining international criminal law with some aspects of commercial law. Let's have a look. I've got some other questions here. How can I go to the page that shows me the outline of the modules? Now, if you go, when you're on the website, if you go to the various program pages, so if you go into the law school postgraduate programs, and it should list the programs that I've listed here. If you click on each of those links, it will take you to a web page outlining those various programs, sorry. Over to the right-hand side, there is 2 links. One is to the program specification, which is a very detailed sort of official document, which gives you everything you need to know, but very much in formal language, so they will be able to outline the various modules that are available on each program. But above that is a link to a sort of a key points about the program. Now that is a useful one-page document that just gives you a brief outline of each of the programs on offer. So the next question is, how many lectures your LLM program has about public international law? We have public international law, which is a general module in its own right, which would look at public international law broadly, i.e. the law of the International Court of Justice, etc. We also have, when we're talking about public international law, you also have the law of the World Trade Organization. There's also specific modules that deal with aspects of public international law that might be useful for you in your studies. But clearly we do have two very clearly public international law programs on offer. The next question is, do you think it's better to already know what the dissertation will be on or before joining the course? Well, actually, it might be better to come along and not have an idea and sort of try out a few modules. You know, sign up to your first 4 modules, go along to the first series of lectures and get a feel for the particular topic. This would allow you to perhaps have a broader understanding of the general area of law that you understand. So for instance, if you're interested in commercial law, well, commercial law is a huge area of the law. But you can come on and sign up to, well, I want to do the tax module, I want to do the corporate governance module, I want to do the trademark module, and I want to do the media law module in my first term, and you think one of those might be an area that you would like to do a dissertation in. By coming in with an open mind, you can then explore those various modules that would perhaps allow you have a broader understanding, to come in with a broader understanding and a broader appreciation of the law. That being said, many of our postgraduate students that join our LLM program are already practitioners, and they have been perhaps practicing in their countries in a particular area and want to pursue that as part of their dissertation, because when they return home they want to further their careers, move on to become judges or move into policy formation within their various governments. So in that instance, those students might already come in with a clear understanding of what it is that they want to do. So moving on to the next question, if you choose January start for part-time, will there only be one extra session that year in April? No, so the way it works for part-time, so if you join in January part-time, you will do 2 modules in what we officially call our term 2. So term 2 is January to March, to the end of March, and you as a part-time student will study 2 modules in that period. There is then a break, and it is wise to have perhaps sorted out or be close to sorting out your dissertation topic before you then go on that break, because the examinations will end in May and teaching does not then start again until the end of September. So coming in January, you do have a sort of a summer break after your first term. You will then come back, start studying again in September for your second term. The following January will be your third term, and then your fourth term will be that following September. What is nice about perhaps coming in on the January intake, either as a part-time or full-time student, is that you do have, whilst the actual course is slightly longer, you do have that mid-summer break to do extensive research on your dissertation. Would an LLM help secure a training contract? Now, I'm going to approach this from the perspective of you being a home student. And obviously, if you have studied in the UK, you will understand that entering into the legal profession is highly competitive. And there is no doubt that if you are a home student or an EU student, being able to obtain an LLM may help you stand out, especially if you achieve at a high level, may help you stand out in the crowd and make you more attractive to prospective employers. Now, certainly it is not a prerequisite of obtaining a training contract in the UK that you have an LLM. It's only that you actually have a qualifying LLB law degree in the UK to allow you to enter the legal profession. But as I said, as an extra area of study, perhaps it allows you to specialize in a particular area. So for instance, you know that you would like to go into practice in the area of intellectual property. If you took the LLM in intellectual property law, you demonstrate, first of all, you demonstrate your interest in that particular area to your prospective employer, and your knowledge is far greater of that particular area of the law by the time you've finished your LLM degree. So the next question, can we take lawyer license in the UK after we have finished an LLM? Now, that is very much dependent on the undergraduate degree you have and to what extent that degree would be recognised within the UK. The site you would need to go and study, and there are some undergraduate law degrees that are recognised, there are some law degrees I should say, that are recognised from other countries and that the Law Society would recognise. There are also some law degrees where the Law Society the UK Law Society would say, well, actually, yes, you can come and practice here, but we require you to take a competency test first. Now, my advice to you would be to go to the Law Society website, the UK Law Society website, where you should be able to find all that information. And that is about it. Well, thank you all very much for your time. It's been a great pleasure, and if you do have any further questions, we have a fantastic admissions team that can certainly try and answer your question, or if not, they can direct it to the person that can. And you should be able to find links to sort of module conveners, program directors on our website that would help you to direct if you have, as I said, subject matter specific questions, to direct your questions to the most appropriate person. Thank you all very much. It's been a pleasure.